Let's drive into the first, and these trends are really meant to build upon each other because at the end of the day they truly are interdependent. So data networks, we've seen a pretty rapid evolution from data centers to what is cloud compute and cloud storage, to this notion of hybrid cloud, data cloud, and now what we talk about data networks. And what's really driving a lot of this, some of that complexity I talked about, a lot of it is costs and operations, where we're shifting our costs and cost burden to cloud providers, particularly for the compute and storage, as we look at cloud compute platforms. But up until this point, a lot of those cloud compute platforms didn't have the processing power, wasn't affordable to deal with more complex data sets. And so we as an industry built this whole aspect of hybrid cloud, where we'd have some aspects of private cloud or technologies still on premises, but connected to these public cloud technologies. And what we've been seeing over the last year now is that data clouds in and of themselves have become more robust and have definitely capacity to handle large and big data sets, as well as the processing capacity there to do it. But it's more than just rebuilding a data lake or a data warehouse, which again, a lot of organizations just didn't have the talent and resources to do it. It's more than just moving your data up in a cloud and taking advantage of those kind of technologies. What's really emerging is this notion of data networks. And what is a data network? Yes, it has the characteristics of data lakes and data warehouses from the traditional sense, but they're really intended to connect disparate data sets that you don't own, right? So when we're dealing with data cloud and data warehouses, it's all about connecting your own internal data silos. When we're talking about data networks, it's really connecting you with your partners, the business partners, and your customers, and really fostering not a business flow or an engagement flow at the data level, at the data transactional level. And you're going to see this become more and more prevalent as we move through 2021 and beyond. Access. I mean, this is kind of general bucket for a lot of different technology trends within access. And really, one of the key trends is serverless solutions. And again, this kind of bleeds back into the cloud side of life. When we did originally cloud compute, we virtualized our computing environment. Now all we're really doing is saying, hey, I like a certain amount of process, certain amount of storage. I want it to go up and down as I need it, and I only want to pay for what I use. We don't care how many servers, real servers are behind it or virtual servers are behind it. So think Amazon Lambda as an example. These are going to become a pretty common service across all cloud providers and across all capacity solutions. Next is this concept of data virtualization versus data consolidation. Again, when we talk about data cloud, it's not about dumping all your data in the cloud, because in reality, data has gravity. I think I had that on the previous slide, but it's hard to move large chunks of data. That's just the fact of life, and it's going to continue to be that for quite a while. So what we're really talking about is creating a virtualized data access tier that makes all these disparate data sources look like they're one large data collection, where you can manage data access and data governance and a whole lot of other issues. And so, as I mentioned before, data networks, you got to live outside of your cloud. Your cloud's only one part of your ecosystem. So you got to think bigger than just putting your data up in the cloud. And finally, qubits. I love this because, just recently, the Department of Energy said they successfully did a quantum teleportation. And what do they really mean by that? Qubit is basically the way quantum computers store data, and they're able to store data in multi-state, so they're very flexible. And this notion of teleportation is the ability to transport data through quantum entanglement. I mean, lots of big words, but we're starting to see it become a reality. And what does that mean? You're going to see in the scientific world over 2021 more experimentation, more success, and really the foundation for the quantum internet in terms of how we connect things and how we protect things and how we secure things. Now, it's not going to be there by the end of 2021, but you're going to see a lot of the technology foundations emerge, and it's going to be really, really pretty exciting. So operations, this is big. This is big for data clouds and data networks is really how do you deal with automation? So one, there are a lot of tasks that really should be automated. And so we're entering the stage of hyper automation in terms of really taking humans out of a lot of repetitive tasks. And some of those repetitive tasks can be pretty complex in terms of load balancing and failovers and disaster recovery and loading software in the whole DevOps cycle. And so this is only going to accelerate. So if you're not looking at how you automate, particularly a lot of your IT infrastructure, then you're already way behind the curve. Data ops as a service. Okay, we have DevOps. It's a pretty mature field these days in terms of tools and approaches and thought process. Now we're sliding into data ops. And what do we mean by data ops? Data ops, and some people call it data wrangling, is taking what amounts to raw data and organizing it in a way that can be useful for broader analytics and making decisions. And it can be very complex and be pretty heavy lift for data scientists. What you're going to see over the course of this year is that data ops tools are going to become a multi-billion-dollar marketplace. So highly recommend you start looking at what's available in data ops and the broader data governance tool set, which is the next point. Is this whole kind of area within data and data management is not just an emerging area, it's a high growth area and a must for any organization that's data centric to really take a hard look at and how they manage their overall data assets, and both from all the way from a security perspective to an understanding perspective.